Welcome to Daily Longevity RX, the show where we take a deep dive into the latest research to help you live a longer, healthier life. Today we're tackling a topic that's been buzzing everywhere: the profound impact of intermittent fasting on longevity and your overall health span. And joining me, as always, is our go-to guide for making sense of complex science.
It's fantastic to be here, and this really is a conversation we need to have. When you look at the global health landscape, I mean, 60% of people in Europe and, wow, 75% in the United States are now overweight or obese. It's clear we need new strategies.
Absolute staggering numbers.
They really are. And our mission with these deep dives, is to explore how we can actually make people biologically younger, not just chronologically older. We're not talking about living 10 times longer, but what if we could add a significant percentage, say, aim for 50% longer, maybe from 80 to 120?
That's a huge leap.
It is. And that's the exciting potential we're unpacking today with fasting.
Okay, let's unpack this then. The word fasting itself, it can conjure up so many different images, full water fasts, just skipping breakfast. How do we even define intermittent fasting, or IF, in a way that's relevant for our health and longevity discussion?
Yeah, that's the perfect place to start because it does get confusing. At its core, intermittent fasting is really about cycling between periods of eating and voluntary fasting. This isn't starvation. It's a deliberate temporary absence or sometimes a severe restriction of calories, usually for, say, 12 to 48 hours and then repeated in cycles.
So it's scheduled.
Exactly. Think of it as giving your body a scheduled break from constant digestion. Some of the most common types we see in the research include alternate day fasting, ADF, where you significantly cut calories every other day. Then there's the 5.2 diet you probably heard of, that restricting to maybe 500, 700 calories 2 days a week. And perhaps the most popular one now is time-restricted feeding, or TRF, which is simply limiting your food intake to a specific window each day, usually maybe 6 to 12 hours.
Okay, that makes sense. And I've also been hearing a lot about something called the Fasting Mimicking Diet, or FMD. It sounds almost contradictory, fasting and diet together. How does that work? Is it really fasting?
That's a brilliant question. It really is an innovation born out of calorie restriction research. Let's say the genius of the fasting mimicking diet is to create a specific nutritional program where you do eat food,
Okay.
but it's designed very cleverly so that your body, whether it's a mouse or a person, biologically perceives it as if you were doing a water-only fast.
Wow. So you get the benefits without the complete restriction.
That's the goal, precisely. To achieve those profound cellular and metabolic shifts we see with significant calorie restriction, which, has shown incredible results in animals and some human studies, but in a way that's much more feasible, safer, and frankly, maybe more enjoyable for people to do periodically.
Okay, so whether we're tricking the body with FMD or actually fasting with IF, what's genuinely happening inside us? Biologically speaking, during these fasting periods, what are the fundamental internal shifts that make this so powerful?
Right. This is where it gets really fascinating, down at the cellular level. One of the most fundamental shifts is what we call the metabolic switch. Normally, your body runs primarily on glucose from your food, which it stores as glycogen, mostly in the liver. But typically, after about 12 to 24 hours of not eating, those glucose stores, the glycogen, it starts to get depleted.
Okay.
Your body, being incredibly adaptable, then flips the switch. It shifts into a new metabolic mode. It starts primarily burning fat for energy, and in doing so, it produces these powerful compounds called ketone bodies and also uses free fatty acids.
Right, ketones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it can even make its own glucose if needed from non-carb sources like proteins or fats. That's gluconeogenesis. It's a backup generator, basically.
To brain fueled.
Precisely. It's the body's built-in survival mechanism.
And you mentioned ketone bodies. I feel like I hear about them constantly now, especially for brain health. How important are they in this fasting state?
Oh, they're absolutely central. When your body flips that metabolic switch, ketone levels in your blood just jump significantly. They might be almost undetectable when you're eating normally, but within 8 to 12 hours of fasting, they start rising. They become a primary fuel source.
So the brain uses them.
Yes.
Yeah.
After a day or two, your brain starts running quite efficiently on both glucose and these ketone bodies. And the heart can use fatty acids predominantly. Think of ketones as a kind of high-octane, super efficient fuel, especially for the brain and heart.
Interesting.
But it's not just about fuel. Another crucial process kicks in called autophagy.
Autophagy, right. The self-eating.
Literally self-eating. It's your cell's internal recycling program. They break down and get rid of old, damaged, or just unnecessary components. It's like a, a vital cellular spring cleaning. Cleans house, renews things. Very beneficial.
So it's not just a fuel switch. It sounds like a whole reprogramming of cellular processes.
Hmm.
Are there specific, like, molecular pathways involved? Tiny command centers driving these changes?
Absolutely. Fasting orchestrates this powerful signaling symphony inside your cells. Think of it like this. Your body has pathways that act as growth accelerators, things like insulin like growth factor 1 or IGF-1 and another one called mTOR, mammalian target of rapamycin.
Right, heard of those.
They're vital when you're young for growth, but keeping them constantly switched on as you age, that can contribute to disease and speed up aging. So fasting intelligently puts the brakes on these growth pathways,
Okay.
and simultaneously it activates pathways linked to cellular repair, stress resistance, longevity. Key ones are AMPK and sirtuins, especially SIRT1.
SIRT1, the longevity protein.
Often called that, yes. And interestingly, SIRT1 activity is boosted when your insulin sensitivity improves, which fasting helps with. It needs something called NAD+2. We also see effects on DNA methylation. That's like an epigenetic tag on your DNA that can influence aging speed. And what's really fundamental, our work and others has shown, is that these protein-driven growth factors are right at the center of aging across all organisms. I mean, blocking these pathways extended yeast lifespan tenfold in the lab.
Tenfold.
Incredible, right? And we've even seen this in humans. There's a unique population in Ecuador with a genetic deficiency in their growth hormone receptor. Despite often having, frankly, terrible diets, they are remarkably protected from diabetes, cancer, and cognitive decline.
Because those pathways are dampened down.
Exactly, because those protein pathways are naturally downregulated. So fasting, in essence, it revolutionizes gene expression. It shifts your body from a grow and store mode to a repair and protect mode.
That's incredible. It really paints a picture of these internal changes translating into, well, real-world benefits for how long and how well we live. So what are some of the most striking findings? What are the big takeaways for us regarding IF and human health?
The potential is, it really is immense. One concept that's really catching on is biological age.
Ah, yes, different from your calendar age.
Totally different. Your biological age can be radically different from your chronological age. We've seen differences of 20, even 25 years. So a 65-year-old with a biological age of 40, they're likely to live significantly longer and healthier than a 40-year-old whose body is biologically acting like it's 65.
And fasting can influence that biological age.
It seems to play a critical role, yes, helping to make someone biologically younger.
Okay, so beyond just feeling good or maybe losing some weight, what are the concrete health improvements we've seen?
Right, let's break it down. Think of it as a multi-system health upgrade. First, weight management and metabolic health. It's not just about calories. AUAF, especially TRF, often leads to mild calorie restriction naturally and sustained weight loss. But more than that, studies like alternate day fasting show greater drops in insulin levels and insulin resistance compared to just cutting calories continuously, even if the weight loss is similar.
That's a key difference.
It is. We've even seen compelling case studies. Now, these are case studies, but still, where people with type 2 diabetes on insulin for years managed to stop insulin entirely using fasting regimens with a low-carb diet.
Wow.
It suggests a fundamental reset in how the body handles sugar and fat. We see lower glucose, insulin, leptin, cholesterol, triglycerides, LDL. The whole metabolic picture improves.
Okay, what about the heart? Cardiovascular health.
Yeah, big connection there too. AFEF is associated with lower cardiovascular risk. Animal studies, like in rats, showed ADF protected the heart against age-related inflammation, stress, fibrosis. In humans, TRF can improve blood pressure and help prevent age-related declines in heart function. It makes the heart more resilient.
Makes sense. And then the brain. You mentioned that earlier.
Brain health and cognition. This is a huge one. Huge. Intermittent fasting doesn't just protect your neurons. It actually seems to enhance cognitive performance, improve memory, stimulate synaptic plasticity. That's the brain forming new connections.
What's the mechanism?
A key player is increased production of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor.
Brain fertilizer, I've heard it called.
That's a great way to put it. It promotes neuron growth and survival. Also, that ketone body we talked about, beta-hydroxybutyrate, it's neuroprotective itself. It might even reduce anxiety and boost memory linked to the hippocampus. And fascinatingly, IF can restructure your gut microbiome.
The gut-brain axis.
Exactly, which changes the metabolites produced by those microbes, including things like bile acids, and those changes are strongly linked to better cognitive function. We've even seen ADF reduce cognitive impairment in mouse models of Alzheimer's. It's like a system reboot for the brain.
It really sounds like a full-body reset. What about the immune system? Repair mechanisms?
You got it. For the immune system and regeneration, these fasting refeeding cycles are remarkably powerful. They promote stem cell self-renewal and tissue regeneration. The refeeding part seems especially important here, replacing old senescent cells.
So the eating part after the fast is key too.
Crucial for the rebuilding, yes. Short-term fasts also seem to rejuvenate the blood-producing system and the wider immune system. We've seen immune cells called monocytes actually go back into the bone marrow during fasting, which changes how the body responds to infection. It's like hitting refresh on your defenses.
And the gut itself.
Yeah.
Beyond the brain connection.
Yes, gut health benefits directly too. EVF helps restore a healthier circadian rhythm in the gut, improves the balance of microbes, protects against things like fatty liver disease, and generally improves gut function. Even studies in fruit flies showed early life IF reduced age-related gut problems later.
Amazing the range of effects. And finally, you mentioned cancer earlier.
Yes, cancer. This is a very promising but also complex area. The fasting mimicking diet, when used with standard treatments like chemo and immunotherapy, shows tremendous potential in animal models across different cancers, colorectal, lung, breast. It's been shown to reduce cancer stem cells in breast cancer models. But, and this is a big but,
Caution needed.
extreme caution, particularly for early-stage cancers, where the standard treatment has a high chance of cure. This must be done under strict medical supervision. We're still learning.
Understood. This all sounds incredibly promising, really a wide spectrum of benefits. But, as you said, it's powerful. So there must be nuances, considerations. For someone listening now thinking, wow, okay, but where do I start? Or is this definitely safe for me? What are the important things to keep in mind?
That's a crucial question. Absolutely crucial. While IF is potent, it's not always smooth sailing, especially at first. Some people definitely experience hunger, irritability, fatigue, maybe even brain fog temporarily as their body adapts.
Right, the adjustment period.
Exactly. And it's vital to remember this is a powerful tool.
Right.
If you misuse it, it can cause harm. Like the example with chemotherapy refeeding at the wrong time relative to the drug levels could potentially damage the heart instead of protecting it. It highlights why standardization and careful, individualized approaches are key.
So the effects aren't universal then. It really varies person to person.
Precisely. The impact can depend significantly on, well, everything. Your genetics, your starting health, your age. Even in animal studies, the longevity effects varied wildly, from slightly negative to an 80% lifespan extension.
Wow, that's a huge range.
It tells us there's no single magic formula. And also, short-term benefits don't always predict the long haul. For instance, some diets that look great initially, like very long-term, strict, low-carb or animal-based diets, have actually been linked to shorter lifespans in some big long-term human studies.
Good point.
And those really restrictive protocols, like trying to eat only within a 4 or 6 hour window every single day, that's just not feasible for most people long-term. Compliance becomes a real issue.
So practicality and safety. It sounds like getting guidance is important, especially with intense regimes.
Definitely. Adherence is a major challenge with intense fasting. One study found only about 18% of people would stick to a really rigorous protocol if their doctor prescribed it.
It's low.
It is. It tells us we need flexibility, maybe spacing out fast days, adjusting calories slightly. Making it sustainable is key. And back to the cancer point for early stage disease, with a good prognosis, the standard advice is usually stick with the proven treatment first. Maybe adopt a general healthy longevity diet, a consistent 12-hour eating window, but probably don't add complex fasting protocols without expert guidance because we don't fully understand all the effects yet.
Right.
And while dampening those protein pathways is key for aging, going too extreme with protein restriction long-term, especially in older adults, can lead to frailty or sarcopenia.
So balance is needed.
Absolutely. Ideally, for anything significant, especially if you have health conditions, you'd work with a specialized team, doctors, dietitians, maybe even psychologists, a 360-degree view. For severe obesity, sure, maybe a GLP-1 drug is an option B, but our option A is always comprehensive nutritional guidance and lifestyle support first.
Okay, so given all those nuances, for most of us just trying to optimize our daily health, is there a practical starting point, an optimal way to approach eating day to day for benefits without needing a full medical team?
Yes, absolutely. And it's perhaps simpler than people think. The consistency of your eating window. Our research and that of others strongly suggests that simply eating within a consistent 8 to 12-hour window each day is an incredibly beneficial and accessible starting point.
Just focusing on the timing consistency.
Exactly. This approach leverages your body's natural circadian biology. It aligns your meals with your internal clock for optimal cell and organ function. Just having consistent eating times, more or less, can lead to noticeable improvements in sleep, alertness, gut health. It's funny, there's a story that the culture of breakfast in Turkey started because people needed food to buffer their stomachs from the strong coffee they drank.
Really?
So the story goes, sometimes these practical habits evolve into things that really benefit our health routines. It just shows how powerful, simple, consistent patterns can be.
That's a great takeaway. So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, our listeners, as you navigate your own health journey?
It means that intermittent fasting, in its various forms, it offers a really powerful, biologically impactful strategy, not just for weight, but for enhancing your longevity and extending your healthy lifespan. It's about fundamentally reprogramming your body right down to the cells, pushing towards a biologically younger state.
And it really underscores that incredible power of not just what we eat, but when we eat to truly revolutionize our health. It feels empowering.
It absolutely is. It's about giving you the knowledge to make choices that genuinely matter for your health now and hopefully for many decades to come.
So as you go about your day-to-day, maybe just consider your own eating window. How might simply aligning your meals more consistently with your natural body clock be the simplest, but maybe the most profound step you can take towards that healthier, longer future?
Food for thought indeed. Literally.
Thank you so much for that insightful deep dive. And thank you for joining us on Daily Longevity RX. We hope this has given you plenty to think about.